morning and afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Angela Tan, and I'm part of the channel marketing team here at NETGEAR. Today, we're presenting NETGEAR Insight, Visualizing Your Networks. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them into the question box on your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will get to them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. For those of you who stay the full webinar, we'll be entering into a raffle to win 2 of the 5-pack for 1-year subscriptions for Insight Pro, which can be used for new subscriptions or renewals. So stick around after Q&A sessions to hear the exciting news of the winner. Presenting today, we have Shaheen, the Director of Product Line Manager here at NETGEAR. Without further ado, Shaheen.
Thank you, Angela, and hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar and for taking the time to be with us. So over the next 30 minutes or so, I will talk a little bit about Insight 6.0. Insight 6.0 is our most recent release of Insight, and it was actually pushed out during CES this year on the 9th of January. So let me, hopefully you can all see my screen, and the focus of this release is again to kind of evolve Insight, and we have really focused on the concept of visibility and control. In fact, we talk about visibility and control and have been talking about visibility and control as a key function of Insight, because Insight allows you to remotely have visibility and control over your networks, multiple networks, even multiple organizations with multiple networks, and you can have this visibility and control from your console 24/7 anywhere there is internet. But with the 6.0 release, we have expanded the visibility and control capabilities of Insight, and I will talk about that momentarily. As you can see, we've also continuously grown out the ecosystem of Insight devices, and we've added in a prior release that came out in Q4 of 20, we added the WAX devices, as well as the those are the Wi-Fi 6 devices, the access points, as well as the Orbi Pro Wi-Fi 6. And I will talk briefly about our wireless management capabilities that we expanded on at the very end of this presentation. But for now, let's focus on the 6.0 release and what we mean by visibility and control. So really what we mean is about bringing in new capabilities for network visualization, allowing you to get an end-to-end view of your network at a glance. You have the ability to see your network's hierarchy, as well as to detect if devices are offline. And it's not just about visualization, it's also about control, which means that you have the capability to take direct action and interact and interface with the this network visualization, which makes it really interesting, because it's not just kind of eye candy, but it has some real functional benefits. One is, it can let you see end to end, but 2 is that it actually allows you to act on things that may not be working right. And I'll show that to you in just a minute. And essentially the purpose, even at the visualization level, is that it gives you an understanding of your network like never before. When you see how everything comes together, is when you really understand why something may not be optimal, or why something is, giving you issues, etc. So it allows you to see your network in ways that you couldn't before. So here is a screenshot, and by the way, I am going to go into actual demo, but I want to just go through some slideware first to give you kind of the lay of the land. So here's a screenshot of the network topology view, one of them, because there are multiple views, and here you can see that it's covering your network end to end, from the ISP coming in to whatever you may have at the edge itself, routers, switches, and then maybe more core switching, and then the access points that are hanging off of that, and then ultimately the actual clients that are connected to your wired or wired network. And then, of course, you also have the ability to hover and actually see more details. More on this in just a minute. So that's one of the views. And that, just a quick overview. So basically, the Insight topology, network topology features are that, you know, we've worked with UX quite a while to really make sure that we have a very effective and yet very easy way to depict the network using different icons, colors, etc., to extract as much information in a single, in one single image, essentially. And the topology supports all Insight managed devices, and I am going to talk a little bit about all the details of the different views, etc., momentarily. So some specific features, view features that I want to point out, it has the ability to zoom in and out. You have the ability to move and drag. You've got tooltips to kind of really help you along. There are device status indicators. Also, you can troubleshoot, which is very exciting. And we've also added some more troubleshooting features. And then you can take specific actions. If you recall, I'd mentioned that it's not just visualization, but it's also control, which means that you can take action directly from that from the network topology interface. You're able to reset devices, reboot devices, share diagnostics, and even go into deeper troubleshooting, which I will also cover in the demo. So moving on, you will see that there's an icon which will basically open up a menu, and within that menu, one of the line menu items is the different views that you have. And you can see here tree view, abstract view, SSID view. This is in fact the tree view. And as you can see here, again, as I'd mentioned earlier, end to end from ISP on all the way down to the clients. And what you can also see is clear indications, red versus green, if their device is down. And keep in mind that this is just for demo purposes. Obviously it's unlikely that you would have a situation where there are so many devices down, but for the purpose of illustration, you can see that in a very quick and easy view, you get a glimpse of devices down, whether they're wired or wireless. There are icons that explain all of this, etc. So this now is the abstract view, and the abstract view is great at really understanding how much density there is on your access points. This is among other things. So for example, in this case, you can see that you have one AP here that is really kind of burdened heavy, very, very dense with clients. And then there are other APs that are much skimpier in terms of the clients that are hanging off it and actually using that. And this is an opportunity to do some load balancing. One of the features that we built in the release that we pushed out, the 5.10 release, which was pushed out in Q4 of 20, was the ability to do load balancing when you have multiple access points at a location. And this visually gives you a tool to see, if things are kind of out of whack and to be able to correct them. So the next is the SSID view, and the SSID view is also fantastic because what it does is it allows you to really kind of map access point to SSID to users, and you get a very good reading of what SSIDs are associated with which APs. Obviously, it's like a little mesh. And then, the users that are using the different SSID types. So all of this is available, as I mentioned, through the menu, and you have the ability to actually, customize this menu as well. So here, in fact, again, in the menu where you have the eye or information icon, it gives you the legend. The legend basically highlights the different device types, as well as the device status and the connection type. And then, as I had mentioned, that it's interactive and actionable. So all you need to do is hover, and then that basically explodes more information on the particular device. And you can take one step further and actually click on the more details. And when you do that, so in the hover itself, you get, the status, obviously, you get the serial number, MAC address, the firmware version, the model, and if there are any critical notifications, firmware version, has it been updated, are there updates available, and the number of clients. And then when you click on the more, that's when you get this sidebar that really goes into details on that specific device, and it gives you details on the particular device beyond what you get in the hover. And more importantly, it can also be used to navigate even a level further. So for example, you can actually click and actually go into the device configurations itself. And then in the middle section here, you can see that there are a bunch of things: share diagnostics, reset, reboot, and troubleshoot. These are all live icons, and you can right through here, you can click on share diagnostics, you can reset the device, you can reboot the device, often when a device is offline, because it's the device has gone off sync. You can actually correct it by just these simple actions. And then if you click on troubleshoot, you'll actually be taken to a different page where you can get deeper into the troubleshooting functionality that we have in Insight. And in fact, we've added 2 more elements to that troubleshooting module, which I'll talk about momentarily. So obviously the Insight network topology benefits are many. I mean, it's very clear to see that it has the ability to visualize and give you an understanding of a network that was not possible with just static information. This also allows you to see the relationships and the hierarchy of your network, and which is also very important to gaining understanding on why something may not be working. When you can see that a device, a client, that an access point is hanging off a particular switch, perhaps it's a core switch and it's hanging off another switch, which is hanging off a router. And when you see where the breakdown is, it really helps you with just diagnosing problems that may be there. And then also, as I mentioned, it also provides you a way to navigate Insight, where this provides another option in how you kind of navigate through the topology view itself. And then, of course, it has been built for speed and responsiveness, just like all of Insight. And there are some customizing capabilities in it to get the view that you want specifically. So some other things that we've built, one of the things is the troubleshooting functionality. As I mentioned, that we've already had the troubleshooting module, and we've had in the troubleshooting module for quite a while now, we've had speed test capabilities where you can test out the speed test of an AP, for example. And you can also do a DNS lookup. So to that troubleshooting module and those 2 features, we've now added 2 more, which are the ping and trace route. So ping allows you to essentially ping the device and make sure that it's up and online, and trace route allows you to track the entire all the hops that a packet may be taking. So very key features, and adding these 2 features to the troubleshooting module now provides a comprehensive troubleshooting capabilities overall. The other feature that we've added is, and this is to instant Wi-Fi, which we already had in Insight, we've now added the auto channel selection or ACS feature with user defined list of preferred channels for both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And this is very important when it comes to looking at DFS, which are the dynamic frequency selection. And often what DFS does is it um, allows you to, one, see if they're underutilized 5 gigahertz channels that may be reserved for radar, and to be able to use those without any interference. And this can certainly help in high teledensity, in high density areas where you may have situations where you've got many APs clustered in a small space, very typical of large buildings that are hosting multiple offices. And even like on the consumer side, apartment blocks or condo blocks that have many APs. And what you want is you want the benefit of kind of using those underutilized channels to be able to improve your Wi-Fi. And with this capability, you can actually select if there are certain channels that you want to use or not. And I will be showing this to you visually when I do the demo. So with that said, I actually want to move into the demo itself, and just give me a quick minute to shift gears. Hopefully you can all see my screen. If not, Angela, please let me know. So now you're actually in the Insight portal, and for those of you who are not familiar with the Insight web portal, this is Insight Pro. And what you see when you come in is all the organizations. So Insight Pro is a multi-tenancy solution, which means that in a single Insight Pro account, you're able to manage multiple different customer organizations, and those customer organizations can have multiple network locations. So all of that is possible through a single Insight Pro account. So for instance, if I am an MSP and I am providing networking services to a dozen of my customers, I would actually have, within the screen, I would be able to have a quick glance at each of my customers, making sure that if there is something not right, it would be indicated right up front. And then, of course, it's also a way for me to drill into a particular organization. And in this case, I'm actually going to drill into, and by the way, this is just a demo environment, so it is somewhat limited in both the number of organizations as well as the number of networks, and then additionally also the number of devices at each of the networks, and then clients, of course, because it's all demoware. So when I click on Merritt County School, and also one thing I wanted to just clarify, this is a demo because it's kind of the PLM, the product management demo, but all the features that you're seeing here is in production. So if you use Insight today, you will already get all of the capabilities that you're seeing, including the network visualization, which I'm going to go into in just a minute. So going back to the demo, so as you saw, Merritt County School is I'm the MSP, it's one of the customers that I manage, and Merritt County School in this case has 2 schools, an elementary and a high school. I'm going to click on the elementary school, and it takes me into that school's environment. And as you can see that this dashboard is specific to the Merritt Elementary School. It's going to give me a quick system health. It's going to give me properties, how many access point switches, clients, etc. I have, VLANs, SSIDs. It's also going to give me a quick visual of the wireless clients that I have. Also, it's going to give me some information on the switches that I have here, and the ports that are active, as well as what's available. And by the way, there are many widgets here, so that you also get notifications. You can actually manage your widgets for those of you who are not familiar. So you have a lot of widgets, and you can select the widgets that you want, and then it will actually show you all of that. So For example, I can, select Topology View and add it. And it's added the Topology View for me. And I can also move this around as I like. So that's a quick view into the dashboard, but that's not actually what we are here to talk about. So I want to talk about topology and then troubleshoot. So when as you can see that there's topology, this was added in the 6.0 release. When I click on that, it's actually going into the topology of the Merritt Elementary School. And what you're seeing is everything from the ISP down to the edge device here, which is actually a GS switch. And then there are two APs, one for the teacher's lounge, and this is a WAC 540, and then another one for another WAC 40 as well for the office. And then you've got a bunch of devices that are hanging off both the wired network in this case and then the wireless network. So all of these are actually end devices. And when you hover on any of this, as I said, you can see more details. And then if you click on more, it actually takes you to the screen that I showed you in slide where it's going to give you even more information. And then you can take specific actions, share diagnostics, reset the device, reboot, troubleshoot, etc., which I'm not going to do right now. So also when you click on this icon, that opens up the menu. Here you have the search function where you can search by a model type or a MAC ID or a serial number. You can also filter by wired, wireless, or both. And then, as I showed you, we have multiple views, and the snowflake icon actually shows you the different views. Tree view, which is where we are currently. If I change that to abstract view, then you get the abstract view. You have the ability, of course, to zoom in and out using your mouse, and then the SSID view. This is also was shown to you earlier. If I click on the information, it pops up the legend, and I've pretty much already discussed this, but you've got the different colored icons that elaborate what kind of device. The rings that you see explain whether a device is online or offline, and then also you have the ability to see the connection type. When you click on the question mark, it's going to give you a little blurb on what the topology view is and how it can be used. And then when you click on learn more, it's actually going to go into a KB article that provides even more details on the topology view. So that's a quick view of the topology. One other thing I want to go into is the troubleshooting. Actually, I want to go into two more things. So troubleshooting, when I go into troubleshooting, here you can see we have added the ping test and the trace route. We already had the DNS lookup and the speed test. You can click a device and basically then run the tests that you want, and it will run them for you. I'm actually not going to run the tests currently, but well, maybe I will. So let me go into a ping test, run test, and then I do ping test now, and it's asking me for the IP address or the host name, which I can then put in and run. If I was to do a trace route, it would be something similar. So that generally gives you a sense for the troubleshooting module. I'm now going to go into one other feature that I want to talk about, and which is in wireless, and it's the DFS feature that I mentioned at the start. So when I go into wireless, it's giving me it's going one level deeper into the wireless network of the Merritt Elementary School. So here I can see the usage by clients, the traffic. I can see the OS of the clients, the SSIDs, the devices that are there, the client list, etc. All of this is in the dashboard of the wireless settings when I go in here. And then from this page, I can navigate further down. So I'm going to click on settings. When I go into settings, I go into the actual configs and settings for this wireless network. And here you've got a very big menu of things you can do. I'm not going to go into the details of all of this, but obviously, hopefully most of you are already familiar and are users of Insight. We've got a bunch of things here. You can set up your Wi-Fi, SSIDs, as well as your captive portals through this menu item. If you click on Wi-Fi schedules, you can schedule times for your Wi-Fi availability. For example, I may be a small retail store and I shut down at 7 p.m. and after 7 p.m., between 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. the next day, I don't want my Wi-Fi to be used or abused, so I can actually schedule that Wi-Fi accordingly. URL filtering allows you to do, URL filtering for your Wi-Fi. Instant Wi-Fi, which is what we're going to be talking about, and I'll come back to it in just a minute. Fast roaming allows you to do seamless transfer when you have multiple access points in your wireless network. In this case, if we have multiple access points, fast roaming will allow users to seamlessly move from one access point to another without any break in performance as they walk from one area. So for example, in the school, if I have a teacher who is using her tablet as she walks from the break room to her class, she may be passing and actually going through a couple of different access points. And with fast roaming, the idea is that there will be no break in performance, and it's going to be just seamless as the user walks from one AP to another. AirBridge group is a very specific line item that I'm not going to get into. It actually is about the AirBridge hardware that we have that is Insight managed. It is an external point-to-point device that allows the use of wireless in outdoor settings like golf courses and theme parks, etc. Load balancing, I mentioned that earlier. This is the ability when you have multiple access points in a single network, it's the ability to balance the load across those access points, and Insight allows you to configure those, and also there's some automated capabilities. Advanced wireless settings goes into some further details and fine-tuning on wireless that I'm not going to get into, and similar to advanced network settings. For today, I'm going to focus on instant Wi-Fi. And instant Wi-Fi is a capability that Insight had built already, which allows Insight to be, and the access points to automatically calculate and select the best channels when they're and it takes into account many factors. It takes into account all the available channels. It takes into account interference, load, etc. And you can set that up for automatic channel allocation if you enable that, and it is currently enabled. What we've added is DFS and the preferred channels, where you can select if there are any, and this is for both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, select if there are any particular frequencies that you want to use, and it also shows you the frequencies that are perhaps being used already by radar or weather channel, etc. And as I mentioned at the start of this presentation, that what this allows you to do is, one, it allows you to use any underutilized frequencies that may be available to you, and two is to make sure that there's no interference with radar or any other use. So that is essentially a quick demo of Insight. There are obviously many other features, and we will probably have another session where we just do a drill down of the core features of Insight, both in terms of device configs as well as network configs, both wired and wireless. But for the purpose of today, that was just a quick overview of the new features that we built in Insight. So I am going to go back to slideware, and I've actually got only one more slide. In the release, in the 5.11 release, which was pushed out in Q4, late Q4 of 20, we added a whole bunch of new functionality in support of wireless deployments, specifically for high density deployments, which is situations where you have multiple APs supporting a larger network environment with perhaps more employees, or it could be even a school, a larger school where you have many, many more teachers and staff and students, of course. So with high density capabilities, Insight can support kind of mid-size access point deployments. Obviously, Insight is built for scale because it is cloud hosted. So it is very elastic, and it has that flexible, the ability to expand as your network expands with ease. And you just have to add your devices and just Insight will allow you to configure them remotely and to monitor and manage them on an ongoing basis. And then, of course, because Insight is cloud-based, it means you can access any of your networks that are managed by Insight 24/7 from anywhere. And in addition to the web portal that I just showed you, we also have the Insight app, which is available on iOS and Android. It is not just a companion app. It is a very full-fledged application on the go that allows you to do everything, including the configuration of networks, the setup of networks, the ability to configure devices full scale, the ability to certainly monitor devices, get alerts, be able to take any kind of mitigation actions that you may need to if you are on the go. And then it also provides you with some ability to kind of do firmware management, etc. So while it does not have 100% of everything that we have on the web portal, because there's some features that are just better with larger real estate, the mobile applications are actually very rich in their feature set. And kind of moving down, so enhanced Wi-Fi for users, as I mentioned, we added a whole bunch of deeper wireless capabilities, which include Wi-Fi optimization with load balancing and the automatic channel selection, dynamic and adapting to user growth. So the ability to really set the density of your, to set thresholds on the minimum and kind of the maximum performance that you want the user to experience, to ensure that all users have good Wi-Fi performance, and at the same time to have that maximum ceiling as well, to ensure that some users don't hog up all the bandwidth. There's also, we built visualization already in the last release, and then we added to that with the topology networks. So we added earlier, we added visualization on the end client roaming experience, the whole history, so you can actually see exactly the experience of any user as they roamed from one access point to another access. And all these tools ultimately are there to help you configure, but also to optimize and to continuously kind of fine-tune and improve your network. There are also a bunch of things that are automated with some setups, initial setups that you can do, and then let Insight continue to optimize for you. Comprehensive Wi-Fi coverage, as I mentioned earlier, we added support for several Wi-Fi 6 devices, both on the AP, the WAX side, as well as the Orbi Pro Wi-Fi 6. We have a choice of access points and tri-band Wi-Fi gateways, indoor and outdoor coverage, and then of course the NETGEAR quality assurance. And then efficiency, really the core advantage of Insight is all about efficiency, because it allows you to centralize device configuration. You don't need to set up your devices in silos. This is so important if you're an IT manager of a company of, even a small size company with just 50 employees, it can get quite tedious to be doing the setup of devices in silos individually for each device. So with Insight, it allows you to centralize that process. We have so many capabilities where you can set up the network configs and then basically replicate them to other networks. Very, very important when you are managing multiple networks for a single customer. So if you have a customer who maybe a law office or a dental office, and they have multiple locations, you can do some core network settings, and then you can replicate them as they grow and add new network locations. Obviously zero-touch provisioning, the ability to have access to your network and where everything is visualized for you in a single console. And then also we have a whole bunch of firmware management capabilities where you can in fact just schedule your firmware updates and allow Insight to run the firmware updates on your scheduled time. Say that you've done it between at 2 a.m. or between 2 and 4 a.m. on a Saturday night or wee hours a Sunday morning. Insight will take care of it kind of behind the scenes and free you of that responsibility. So that's a quick overview of Insight, and then in particular Insight for wireless. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. So I want to thank you all. If you have any questions, my email is there, shaheen.kazi@netgear.com. Feel free to reach out and ask your questions. And also, we're going to shift now to Q&A, and I will turn it back to Angela.
Thank you, Shaheen. We have a few questions, but I think most of them has been already covered by our SEs in the questions form. But I'm going to read some of them so everyone can know the full insight of what question was asked. And I think you only see the answers, but not questions. So there's the first question is there a topology map that's accessible right now? And the answer is yes, it is available, and it's on netgear.com/business/wired/switch/smart-managed-pro-cloud, and you are able to check out in the answerings. We did answer it to all, so you can see that link. But this is the link to see the topology map for the Insight. And the next question is...
just a quick point there, Angela. So basically the URL that you provided is to a page where you can get a quick view. It's the demo environment, and also to the question, yes, the topology map is actually available in production in Insight. So if you use Insight subscriptions, either by through a subscription or by purchase of any of the devices that come with a 1 year of Insight included, you will automatically get Insight. You have to, obviously create your Insight account. And once you do that, you will have all of the features that I demoed, including the topology network map that I showed you, available to you. And it's all production. It's been in production since January 9th. And what I mean is the topology map, all Insight, of course, has been around for nearly 4 years. Thank you, Angela.
And another question is asking if there's a cutoff or how old of the product will be available for Insight. And that info can also be found in the same page that was provided. Shaheen, do add more info if there's more to it.
So Insight manages quite a sizable ecosystem of NETGEAR commercial devices across wireless access points as well as wireless gateways, the tri-band gateways, the Orbi line. It also manages all of the GC and most of the GS switches, so all of the smart switches, and almost like 99% of them. And you can actually see on that page that Angela has sent out the URL to. It will link to another page, which will then give you the full detailed list of all the devices managed by Insight. And in addition, Insight also manages routers. So pretty much kind of a full-fledged ecosystem of devices.
Okay, and a question that always pops up is asking what's the cost for hosted Insight?
Yeah, so Insight is really kind of priced to be very affordable to both MSPs, VARs, as well as small and mid-sized customers. So it starts at, and again, I have to be careful about pricing because we're a channel play. You know, your distributors pricing may vary because we don't control that. But in general, it should be priced around $15 per year per device. So as you can see, it's really very well priced. So $15 per year. And when I say this, a lot of people assume that it's per month, and I want to really kind of emphasize that it's $15 per year per device. And if you buy in bulk, that number comes down. We have volume discounts both for multi-pack. You know, we have singles as well as we have 5-pack, 10-pack, 25-pack, 50-pack, and 100-pack. So higher the pack level, depending on your needs, that price comes down. Additionally, we also offer 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year terms. So obviously, if you do a 5-year for a 100-pack, that price is going to come down quite significantly. But that's just an overview on the pricing.
Thank you. And the other question is, can you use Captive Portal to capture user email addresses when they log into the Captive Portal?
Yes, with a qualification. So obviously you do need to get your users' agreement, and in Insight natively we do have the capability to do some of that, and this is you know, part of the Insight itself. Additionally, we also offer Facebook Wi-Fi, which allows you to configure through Facebook the ability to get all the users' information, and Facebook actually I believe, takes care of the authentication and the acknowledgement of the user permissions. We also have an advanced Captive Portal feature, which does require an add-on service fee because it is pretty advanced, and it's really ideal for hospitality, for you know, everything from hotels to theme parks to you know, even like nursing homes, etc. And in that scenario, you do have very granular settings. It does generate user information. Again, you have to get the authorization of the user in order to do that. In Europe, they do require, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, in Europe, it is by law that you have to have the list of users. And with these capabilities, you do have that ability to get a list of all the users on your Wi-Fi.
Thank you, Shaheen. And so the next is, what about tech support for resellers?
We have multiple plans that we have. You know, NETGEAR is very well known for our excellent support and service. It's actually year after year kind of acknowledged for that. We have, you know, real call centers. We invest heavily in making sure that all our support organization is trained up on all of the capabilities of our hardware as well as on Insight. And then in addition, I believe we do have a program for VARs and resellers, including a specific 800 number. I am going to allow either Derek or someone else to respond to this question, if you don't mind, Derek, to just add more color, or anyone else who may be online. Keith?
Yeah, both Derek and Keith has answered these questions online,
Okay.
and
All right.
I'm not sure if they are unmuting their microphones, but their
Yeah.
answer is
So,
yes. Of course, you can get an
yes.
email address. Sorry, their answer is yes. Yes, we offer partner support and more details that we do have a team who's there. They are able to be contacted, and they can actually go in deeper for individual cases or deals to make sure that everyone's trained and how it works in sense of a different scenario.
Okay.
Does it link to any cell model modems?
What, are you saying any cellular modems?
Yeah, I think the question is how I'm trying to elaborate this question. So I guess
I'm
the question
assuming
is,
that's like, does Insight also manage
yeah,
cellular
something like
modem?
that.
Is something like that. So I don't know what cellular modems are, but I'm assuming like mobile hotspots, perhaps. So currently, no, but stay tuned.
Okay. Are there features in smart managed switch firmware if cloud managed is not used?
Yes, there are some features. So Insight, because Insight manages a very large ecosystem across switching, wireless access points, gateways, routing, we do not do 100% of all the features that you're going to find in the firmware. One, it really doesn't make sense for us to replicate every feature. Two, it would just be, it would take us a long time to enable that. So basically the idea is we want to have all the core features in Insight, and for those kind of deeper down features, you may have to go into the switch GUI itself.
And is Pro or Premium is required for the topology access?
Both.
Okay. And is the network topology included in the Insight Pro, or is it there an additional fee for it?
It's included.
For free, right?
Yes. No additional fee.
Okay. And can the topology, so can the customer get the topology for multiple networks?
Yeah, so the topology map is per network, but absolutely, if you have multiple networks, it will be there for each of those networks. If you have Insight Pro and you're managing multiple organizations and each organization has multiple networks, you would get the topology map for each of the networks across all your organizations.
Okay. How do they purchase Insight Pro? I guess the question is, what's the process of getting an Insight Pro subscription?
There are multiple ways to purchase Insight Pro. You can use your channels. So obviously go to your favorite distributor. There are a bunch of distributors that Insight, all of NETGEAR devices are sold through. So you can do it through there. You also have the capability that we've added very recently in Insight to purchase Insight subscriptions directly through what we call monthly usage billing. And what this allows you to do is to set up a credit card on file and allow Insight to count the exact number of devices that you have each month. And we do a very fair count because we're actually doing that count on a daily basis. So we don't do a thing where, if you started the month with 3 devices and ended with 7 devices that we're charging you for 7 devices across a full month. We're actually doing the count on a daily basis, so you're being charged very fairly for exactly what you used across a month. And so that's an alternate way of using Insight, is just to do it through the monthly usage billing that's built in into Insight. And that's specific to Insight Pro, just so you know. That feature is not available on Premium, just Insight Pro.
Thank you, Shaheen. Just to add the previous questions for support for resellers, one of our colleagues just reminded me, we also have remote support for Insight. So it's not just emails. I think it's virtually remote that you can ask questions and someone will get back to you as well. I think the last question that just came in is, when does the Insight Basic going to be EOL and live?
Yeah, so Insight Basic is going to be EOL'd with the next release, which is scheduled for March. We will still continue, of course, to have Insight Premium and Insight Pro. We're actually running a special to get people who may be using Insight Basic to upgrade for really a very just a few bucks to Insight Premium to get all the capabilities on the web portal, additional features, and a much better solution in general.
Thank you, Shaheen. I think that's all the questions for today. And announcing the winners for today's webinar, it's Rafael Davila. Rafael, if you're still online, please do email your contact information to nachannelmarketing@netgear.com. That's nachannelmarketing@netgear.com. And I will get you in touch with the team so they can get your subscriptions ready. And thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Our next webinar is going to be on February 17th. Topic is NETGEAR Business Essential Wi-Fi, the most cost-effective Wi-Fi 6 for micro business solutions. So be sure to look out for the invites. I see Rafael's asking for the emails to write to us. It's NA stands for North America, so nachannelmarketing@netgear.com. So thank you all. We will see you next time.
Thank you all. Bye.